so I was always doing things that was getting in trouble, and so my dad would always be the one that would have to come down, discipline me. I'd been pushed around quite a bit, and then there was this one time when there was a group of guys that humiliated me in front of people, got me to get down on my knees, kiss their feet, otherwise they was going to beat me up. On my way down, I saw everyone was laughing at me, everyone was insulting me and stuff. And on my way down the road, I said to myself, I'll never ever allow that to happen again. I went and signed up to a boxing club the week after. And I suppose a little violent streak in me was set, and this edge about me began. My place within this community, this culture, this way of living, I wanted to be that one that was the big one, if you like. I'd always said growing up, I wanted to be the biggest drug dealer I could be. I wanted to be something that I wasn't. I wanted to be the biggest I could be. I wanted people to think I was a psychopath. I wanted people to fear me. I wanted people to be scared of me. I wanted to make money. I wanted to be the biggest, baddest person I could be. If I couldn't be the best, I wanted to be the worst. I didn't like someone disciplining me, telling me what I've got to do. I was involved in things outside of the home. For instance, drugs at a young age. In my teenage years, I was getting involved in drugs, looking at older boys, older guys, wanting to be what they were. Throughout those teenage years, from the ages of 13 to 16, I was constantly running away or being kicked out of home. And so my auntie would always take me in, so she holds a special place in my heart. She played a part in bringing me up. And so this whole gang setup, it was a group of guys. They were my mates. They were there 24/7. It was people that they would step in front of a bullet for you type thing. And then some of the things that we did, it then takes on another aspect of what a gang is. So crime-wise, there was drugs involved. I stole my first car when I was 15. I could steal a car before I could drive one, hence I crashed my first car into a wall. I felt like I was the odd one out at times. I felt like I wanted something different out of life. I wanted money. I wanted the things that the world could offer. They were the things that excited me. I got married to Helen. We've been married now for coming up to 21 years, so we've been together since we were teenagers. And so when we had Kyle, it didn't change what I did. It didn't change what I think. There were certain things I put down. So like, for instance, stolen property, I wouldn't have it in the house. But my son, I thought I'd grow him up and he'd become like me. I thought he'd continue in my footsteps, if you like. And then we had our first daughter, Megan. I'd kind of said to Helen, look, little princess is on the way. It's going to change my life. I've got to change. It wasn't that I loved my daughter more than my son, nothing like that. It was just daddy's little princess is on the way. I'm going to end up in prison or I'm going to end up dead if I continue in my lifestyle. And so after my wife gave birth to Megan, I remember the doctor saying to me, you can hold your daughter in a moment. But then I saw another doctor and he kind of ran into the room. There was a little bit of rushing going on. And then I saw him massaging my daughter's chest with his 2 fingers. And my daughter wasn't crying and I knew something had gone wrong. And to cut a long story short, my daughter's organs were starting to shut down. I remember them wheeling her past me and I kissed her and I said, Princess, I won't let anything happen to you. I'm daddy, I'll protect you. And the doctor said to me, Mr. Jarvis, your daughter's gonna die. Her heart rate was 140, but it's dropped to 40. We need you to turn the life support machine off, or we need you to give us permission to turn the life support machine off. In that moment, I decided that they could do it. It was the only way forward. And so they turned the life support machine off and my daughter slipped away in front of us. We watched her as she took a last breath, a last gasp of air, which remained with me for a long time and still to this day. I started to take the drugs that I was selling shortly after. There was one moment that happened in that room where my daughter died, and there was this noise, and I thought the machine was broken, and I found out that it was my daughter's last gasps of air, and so it stayed with me. I couldn't shut it off. I could just hear it all the time. when I closed my eyes, I could see the tubes, I could hear the noise. And so I started to take cocaine, which was my main drug that I'd take, because it would keep me up. I wouldn't be able to go to sleep on it. And so I'd be up for 3 and 4 nights at a time, just sessioning. As inside of me, I no longer wanted to live. I hated the pain, I hated the darkness that I was in. I couldn't think of anybody else. It was just my own hurt, my own pain. I just wanted to get off this world. I was heavily involved in drugs by this time. I was an addict. I was up to about £200 worth a day of coke. But I ended up in a place called Harborne, which is in Birmingham, the West Midlands. And there was this sound coming, and it just attracted me as I was walking down this high street. And I went to these double doors, and it was a church. And I was angry with God, and I didn't want to go in there because if God was real, he could have saved my daughter. And my life now was, a few years after my daughter had died, and my life's just got worse and worse, and I'm in the bottom of this pit, and I just want off this horrible world. That's all I could think. I just want off this horrible pain. And so I looked through those windows and saw all these people. They had something that I needed. They were smiling. There was arms up in the air. There was laughter. There was such joy in that room, and I just wanted a little bit of it. I'd now started to go to church on a Sunday night, actually go in the church, not just stand outside the double doors. But what was happening, what was running through my mind was the mountains, the moon, the sun, the ocean. All of creation was just running through my mind, and it was like a light bulb moment when I said, there's got to be a creator. Somebody must have created this. Now I've got to find who this creator was. And so I went to the front. I don't know if I was invited to the front, I can't remember, but I went to the front and I took this weapon out of my pocket, put it on the altar, and I need to give my life to Jesus. After I've just given my life to Jesus and I've said, God, I believe that you're real. I believe, Jesus, you are the way, you are the truth, you are the life. But that night, it was like God made himself real to say, like, he's better than anything I've ever tried. He can fill that gap, what I tried to fill with drugs, what I tried to fill with other things. It was like I stopped drugs overnight. It just stopped. It was no more. Things in my life started to change. Everything started to change. And my wife saw this in me. And after 3 months of watching me, to make sure it wasn't just a little phase that I was going through, she said, if God can change you, he must be real. I prayed with her that night, 3 months after I gave my life to Jesus, and she would watch me every night, sleeping next to her and sitting next to her in bed with the Bible open, reading the word as she would try to go off to sleep, smiling at me thinking, what's happened to my husband? She knew that something had really taken place in my life. I baptized and led to the Lord many people that I used to sell drugs to, many people that I was involved with younger time in my life, many things that I'd been involved with crime, partners within that crime scene. They were now coming into church, getting saved, seeing that God had done something in my life and had said, if God can do it for you, can he do it for me? It hasn't meant that all tough times go away. I still have tough times. I still make mistakes. I still fall down. But whereas before I would turn to drugs, whereas before I would turn to anger, whereas before I would try and force my way through situations with a wrong outcome, with a negative outlook. And I pray to the one that gives a peace that passes all understanding. I know that Jesus is real. When you've had that encounter with God, when he's entered your life, when he's changed it around, when he's given you a hope when you had no hope, when he's taken you from a suicidal mess and gave you life, I can't deny the power and the presence of Jesus. I'm not saying I'm completely over all pain and hurt, but I am saying I've got a way through now because of the one that gave me hope. When my daughter died, it took a long time to even think about it, to even mention her name. And I still got my struggles, just have to ask my wife that. I visited the grave with my wife for the first time, probably only 12 months ago. And my daughter would be coming up to 18 now, coming up to 19 now. So it's taken a long time for me to get to a place where I could visit her grave with someone. But now I'm no longer crying or in despair or kind of, where's my daughter, what's happening? You can't lose something when you know where they are. And I know where my daughter is.
If there is anything that has resonated with you in this video, we believe that Jesus can make all the difference. Don't hesitate to respond. We would love to chat with you.